You are about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating talk radio. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
Doctor, tell me true. What's a heart like mine supposed to do?
All right, we are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Hold on to that heart. 1-877 Dahlia, 1-877-DOCDALI. We definitely need more people with heart. So, pretty scary stuff. I think this was back in 2024, where a gentleman who was a registered organ donor started having his organs harvested, and he wakes up in the process screaming and crying. And RFK Jr. and this current administration has been reviewing some of these complaints and issues of donor procurement companies who are very integral in our healthcare system, because people need organs. And for us to be able to take an organ from somebody before they're dead, who is clinically dead, being able to salvage a stable, healthy organ to be able to give to somebody else. So the science is phenomenal, what we could do. But it's not phenomenal if you're taking it from a human who is not going to be clinically dead, nowhere near there. In fact, he's alive doing physical therapy. He's been on TikTok talking about his ordeal. And what the current administration is doing is scrutinizing what exactly is going on with some of these companies and how the incentives are being done. A company needs to make profit. It can't function without profit, but they cannot be clouded by judgment where somebody who is alive, conscious, not going to die, ends up dying and losing their organs because somebody's not thinking clearly or too greedy. We have hundreds of thousands of people who need new organs. Thankfully, I believe 60% of the American public on their DMV, on their driver's licenses, are offering to be organ donors. So we do have individuals wanting to donate organs. But when you hear stories like this is going to change the whole dynamic, and people are going to be like, oh, hell no. I don't want anybody trying to take my organ. As far as I'm concerned, I'm a no. I'm a hard no, so don't go anywhere near me. And that's going to be a mess in medicine, an absolute mess. So the CNN is reporting what happened. We talked about this a couple of years ago. But the Health and Human Services Secretary, Robert Kennedy Jr., announced that they are shutting down an organization that manages organ donations in the Kentucky region called Network for Hope. They've been under federal scrutiny for more than a year after a whistleblower who worked there told Congress that there was a case where there was a man's organs harvested before he actually died. CNN spoke to this man. His name is T.J. Hoover. This was back in 2021, where Hoover had overdosed and was taken to the hospital in cardiac arrest. He was unresponsive for several days, so they thought he was clinically dead, even though there's documented ways, there's scientific ways to ensure that somebody is not going to regain consciousness and alive. There's ways to confirm that somebody is technically brain dead or not able to survive. However, he wakes up on the operating table as his chest is being shaved and his body bathed in the surgical solution and sterilization solution. He even heard staff discussing how they would take his organs. So he starts screaming and crying. A doctor called off the surgery, and Hoover was not operated on, thank God. They said earlier in the day, according to CNN, hospital staff had expressed concern that he seemed to be aware of what was happening and was resisting the procedure. But this is where things got scary. The organ procurement organization allegedly kept, quote, pushing to go. Natasha Miller, a perfusionist who worked at the group at the time, told CNN. The family says they also had not been told that Hoover had regained consciousness and had cried while his body was being prepared. So here he is, alive and well in Richmond, Kentucky, undergoing extensive physical therapy and treatment because of the ordeal with the overdose. He's on TikTok, expressing to others what had happened. But Network for Hope said they reviewed the case. They remain confident that accepted practices and approved protocols were followed. And they also said that the case was inaccurately represented, including by individuals never involved in this case. Now, I understand there's he said, she said, but the facts remain. We have a person who is alive, conscious, making TikTok videos, who was allegedly operated on for his organs. There's a process that happens when we have a person who needs a new heart or liver or lung transplant or kidney, especially kidney, and these processes are very intricate. You have to have the person still alive and able to be healthy enough to receive the organ and undergo the immunosuppression. But the timing has to be perfect for an organ to be able to survive the transfer. And that organ has to be from somebody who's still alive. Take organs from cadavers. I know people want to 3D print organs and things like that. We're almost there, but we're not there yet. Especially not with something juicy like a pancreas. We're not there yet. We could do structural things, but and it's vibrant functioning. You need a live active kidney. So you can't take cadaver organs and expect them to do well. So we need to, it's a very, very delicate choreography of somebody who is on life support. We're keeping them alive. They would die without the life support. And so the family is involved, their prior decision-making prior to them becoming unconscious and comatose or clinically dead is involved. And, they say, look, if God forbid anything happens to me, you could use my organ. I want my body to save somebody else's. But we keep them artificially alive to be able to salvage that live organ and transfer it. What never, ever, ever should happen is a company, and I'm not accusing anybody of doing this, but this is what people are fearing with all of this going on. Nobody should ever be like, okay, you know what? We're low on numbers and we're low on profit, so we really need to get something cooking. What about this guy over here? I don't know. He's been down a couple days. I don't know. Do you think he's good to go? Let's just check him. Let's see. That should not be happening. And the suggestion that might have happened in this case is awful. And I don't want to scare people from offering organs and donating organs. God bless you guys for donating organs. Even those who are doing live donations where they can survive with one kidney still. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, don't go away.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
Hi, it's Mark Falter, host of the Financial Fitness Show. I strongly believe that no one should ever pay 1 penny more in taxes than they are legally obligated. Unfortunately, for most hardworking Americans, this just isn't the case. Why? Because most people spend more time planning next weekend's getaway than trying to ensure they're going to pay less in taxes. My financial fitness team has put together some materials that I know are going to help you. It's the Tax Savings Kit. Tax Savings Kit includes 3 things: free tax analysis, top 10 ways to pay less in taxes, and an investor's guide to taxes. Now, how do you get it? Simple. 866-764-2635. Again, 866-764-2635. I'm Mark Falter. This is Financial Fitness, making personal finance profitable.
And we're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at X, Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So before we get to some of the other headlines, I lost a little chunk of my face. Why? Because I was shaving. Look, I'm going to be honest with you guys about some stuff here. Okay, I'm going to be honest because we got some learning points here. All right, I've been sick with COVID. I've been feeling horrible. I was checking to see if I had anemia, and I haven't done an upper lip wax in ages because I didn't think I needed to. It was a suggestive sell from somebody years ago. And I'm like, it's okay for women to have a little tiny bit of facial hair. I don't need to be doing upper lip waxes. So I haven't done an upper lip wax, right? I don't have any whiskers on my chin. I don't have any of that. But the other day, when I was checking for anemia and I was looking at my gum lines and I was like, I saw hair on my upper lip and I panicked. Razor. And I went, owie, ow. I didn't do the shaving cream. I impulsively grabbed his razor. There was probably maybe a tuft of 5 hairs. I was freaked out about that. And I just went, and then I lost some skin. So then, it was bleeding. And so I put some toilet paper on it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what the heck did I do? And what I want to teach you guys is not take more, postmenopausal estrogen to have, fewer hair growth. That's not what I want to teach you. What I want to teach you is I'm learning a lot about me and aging, and I am screwing up big time because I am not doing the one thing I hate. I cannot stand being told, slow down. No, I've never slowed down. I've always been bzzz. I've always been a busy bee. I've always been hyper. That's how I've gotten my successes. If I slow down, I fall asleep. No, I keep going. When librarians would tell me, slow down. When I'd be running through the classroom, slow down. I don't want to slow down. But I got to tell you guys, if I'm going to be a doctor here, and you're a radio doctor, and I'm going to be giving you advice, we all need to slow the hell down because we are making big mistakes, not only with our health, but it could be with financial, it could be with relationships. We need to just take a breath, count 5-10 seconds, and then make that decision. And I'm not doing that, but I'm going to start doing that. Remember when I fell in the bathroom? And I thought I blew a bunch of cartilage in my knee, but because I don't have any more cartilage in my knee, it wasn't as bad as I thought, although it made me realize that I'm going to have a knee replacement soon. Why? Because, again, I wasn't slowing down. I needed to go and grab something in the bathroom, so I ran into the bathroom. I'm at my top speed like I usually am. I'm kind of flying through with centripetal force around a corner, and then I slip on some cat food, wet food, whatever. I don't know what the heck happened. Slipped, fall, boom. I hurt my knee. You're pulling something out of a microwave. That could be hot. Stop. Take a few seconds. It could be boiling. I'm seeing patients who are burning themselves, not from a grill fire, not from these wildfires. It's because they're pulling something out of a microwave. And over and over and over again, I am seeing these ailments and these injuries that can cause life-term sequelae. If I get a scar and I have to explain to people why I got that scar, well, it's because I was shaving some hair on my upper lip. No, I don't want anybody to know that. Yeah, I don't care if you guys know that, but it's why aren't we slowing down and just taking a step back? We're very impulsive, and society has now capitalized on that impulsivity. Now, I'm watching sports, and then you see that cheesy bread, or the euro, or the tantalizing food, and you're like, okay, I want that. Or you have now a sports app. Now you got these. Listen, we dealt with a lot of people who had gambling addiction in Vegas, and people who would maybe gamble on the Iowa border and things like that. Now everybody has this potential to become very addicted to betting now that they have access to sporting apps all across the nation. Slow down. All right. I've been studying sports betting. My father was a gambler, and I did not like craps. I did not like what he did. I've stayed away from the casinos most of my life as a result because I saw what it did. But I do have a hobby, and I like watching, sports, and I like, betting on sports and things like that. And I've been actually doing pretty well. But the reason why is because I'm looking at patterns. I'm not being impulsive. Just because somebody makes a basket, and you see the odds change doesn't mean you have to jump on that. And so we need to learn how to slow down. The problem is we feel we get punished. We feel that if we wait and we hesitate, something goes wrong. You see the love of your life. You don't act on it. And then before you look away, they're on a bus or in a cab or in an Uber, and you never see them again. And you're like, I wish I would have acted on that. Or I missed a bet, or there was a job offer, or I blew off a phone call. You need to take a step back. And especially from medical. So if I just concentrate on the medical and the falls, I am seeing patient fall after fall after fall. The dog does something. So they go downstairs, they miss a step, they break their ankle. Now they have a broken ankle. Ankle takes at least 6 to 12 weeks to heal. They're limping. Now their other joints are affected. They don't exercise, so now they're gaining weight. Come on, man. Look at these GLP-1s. Look at how people are impulsively buying these weight loss drugs. And then they start them. And then I have so many patients that I'm seeing right now, I don't start them on it, but they call in for other reasons because I don't manage GLP-1s with where I work. And they're like, okay, now I don't know what to do because if I go off of them, I'm going to gain the weight again. Well, why did you start them? Well, because I saw somebody in a bathing suit. I go, how long did it take you to make that decision? And this is a question I'm going to start asking people. When you made that decision to shave the hair on your upper lip, or to go after, the dog, for, eating the cat food, or whatever you were doing that made you run and trip. How long did it take you to make that decision? It was impulsive. When you decided to divorce your spouse, how long? Oh, yeah, I was thinking about it for a while. I go, no. The day you called them, how long were you thinking about it? The day you made that decision. No, I just said I was done. There's so many people making impulsive decisions. And if we just stopped and thought it through, look at our eating. All right. How many times have we eaten something, not even realized we ate it, only to 5 minutes later go, I just swallowed that half a sandwich down or that chocolate cake down. I don't even remember eating it. You see a piece of chocolate cake, you stop, acknowledge the chocolate cake. I'd probably look at it going, oh, it's so pretty with the little swirls of the chocolate and the little crumbs, and it looks so moist, and oh, it looks so creamy and yummy, and but do I really want the calories? Do I want 250 empty calories per fork bite? Do I really want to do that? Or do I want to strategize? Let me take a little bit of the frosting and let me give the piece of cake to somebody else. We don't do that. We've talked about for years how people lose weight by chewing their food and chewing their food at least 20 times before they swallow their food, which really helps digestion. Smart thing to do. Do we do it? No. I don't have the patience. Part of the reason why I don't do that is because when I was in training, you didn't have time to eat. You had to, I remember I visited my parents when I was on a very, very limited break, or I met them for dinner once, and I ate my dinner within like 15 seconds flat. And they were like, are you in a hurry? What? I go, we just never have time to eat. You don't get to sit and eat. This is why I ended up getting irritable bowel and all sorts of other things, because you're swallowing your food whole, basically. It just, if you don't have to be in that hurry, stop. Take that break. Think about it before you vote. Even look what the hell's going on in our country now, right? With what people are now. I saw Hassan Piker, who's a piece of crap, interviewing that Wisconsin governor, just hammering her with questions, and she's just like, yes, no, yes, no. Are you even thinking about what you're saying? Think about it. Slow down. 1-877 Dolly. Don't go away.
Hi guys, Dr. Dahlia here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms. Whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping, addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdahlia.com. Check it out.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot's Secret Gasoline Extreme, the solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot's Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
And we're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So a U.S. Senate committee has voted to hold former top health official Anthony Fauci, Dr. Anthony Fauci, in contempt of Congress after he refused to answer questions during a hearing examining his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, when the world had wanted answers as to what happened. Lab leaks, why we were told it wasn't a lab leak, why the messaging was so politicized. This is all we got from him.
Counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Let's just get one thing straight. You don't have any rights under the Fifth Amendment because you've been pardoned.
The fact that Fauci took that option 111 times is obviously highly suspect, which we spoke about. But it's frustrating because, I'm not in this, to argue he has to go to jail, or I just want some answers. And we need to learn for the next time. We need to make sure that the BS that happened during the COVID pandemic and the lies and the politicalization, the lockdowns, the way the country handled it and then wouldn't reopen, and it almost had to be state by state, where Republican states reopened and got their economy going again and got their kids back to school, while Democrat states decided to hold on and toe the line. We need to ensure that we move forward with progress. And why? Why did we fund such research? If we did fund such research, then why didn't we have warning? Why couldn't we have prepared America? What did Fauci and his team do? I know there's a lot of doctors going, oh, this is just a witch hunt, and Senator Rand Paul just wants to be anti-Fauci because anti-Fauci preferred working with Biden over Trump. No. You could say whatever you want to say. The problem we have is Fauci kept saying this was a wet market ground zero issue where a zoonotic disease jumped to a human. When I and a good part of the scientific world was saying, no, this screams of it being in a lab and leaked. Now, people could say, but Dr. Dahlia, where did you get that from? I got that from, and I don't know if you saw my article back around that time, but I looked up what happened with the first leak back in 2000. 2002, the first COVID leak, where the Singapore Health Ministry did an investigation in terms of what happened with the first SARS outbreak. And it was, pretty obvious to Singapore about how a lab leak, how the first SARS outbreak leaked, and then there was another lab leak out of China in 2004. This was apparently 8 people in Beijing and the Anhui province were sickened. One was killed in the outbreak because of a SARS, again, release from the lab. And in late 2002, the SARS epidemic that emerged in China spread to multiple countries, affected 8,100 people, killed 774 people. And the Singapore Ministry of Health in 2003 released a report concluding that patient 0 most likely acquired the infection in a lab as a result of the accidental contamination in the lab. They said they were conducting research on the West Nile virus in a lab at the time that was additionally conducting research using active SARS virus. So when the WHO, World Health Organization, CDC, and Dr. Fauci were in 2020 going, no, this is different, I'm like, really? Okay, it's not China's first rodeo. And we want answers. Now, I'm not shocked Fauci took the fifth because he has a very extensive pardon kind of suspect that Biden had to give him such a long pardon from 2014 to 2025, covering him just until the minute Biden left office. So anything Fauci had done during that time would be free from federal prosecution. Still, he could be liable at a state level if states wanted to pursue that. And he could be liable for anything after January 2025, which means if he tried to cover his butt in front of the Senate the other day and get caught for perjury, then he's not safe. So, of course, his legal team told him to take the fifth. The problem is we need answers. Now, Senator Rand Paul has accused Fauci of attempting to hide its origins and of funding a research lab in Wuhan, where we believe this is where this all started, even if it was a mistake. I mean, I don't really believe Fauci purposefully wanted China to have a bioweapon. I'm not going to go that far, although there's conspiracy theories. This was, let's say, it was all an accident. I mean, China's had accidents before, which, as I had said back in 2020, can we figure out what protocol that lab is doing so we can make sure other labs aren't doing the same faulty protocol and leaking biohazards too? Nobody wanted to even address that. And so who knows what else? And I even had brought up all these new strains. Are these new leaks? Or are they strains that are happening as a result of natural mutation? How do we know? If the Wuhan lab leaked in August of 2019, and if we've seen labs in China leak, how do we know these new strains? I have COVID right now. Could be from a natural progression of the COVID that's been circulating all these years. Or maybe, who knows, there's still more leaks. I don't know. We don't know because nobody's giving us any answers. But the attitude he had where I'm not going to answer questions, right, really ticked off the Senate. And so Paul, who is the committee's Republican chairman, is now, I guess, asking the DOJ to the contempt resolutions passed by the committee usually go to the full Senate. They require a 60-vote majority. Republicans currently hold 53 seats in the 100-member Senate currently. But as we know, with the SAVE Act and all that, the Democrats are just not budging. They are going to back Fauci and, back what Muslim Brotherhood, all the other stuff that they've been doing. They're not, nobody is wanting to work on a bipartisan level, which I think is going to hurt them in the long run in elections. So now DOJ may be looking at an investigation, and interestingly, they do have Fauci's cell phone, and they are looking at some of the evidence from that time. Did have to, I believe, turn over his cell phone to the Senate subcommittee. Senator Ron Johnson, head of the Senate Homeland Security Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, confirmed on X that the panel has obtained a copy of his phone from the Department of Health and Human Services. They said hopefully this device will address many of the questions he refused to answer at last week's hearing. Why? Because allegedly emails were scrapped and things were erased. Now, we should be able to still access those, but I'm not sure how that process plays out, especially with this many years and and who knows what got washed out. They say the Wall Street Journal initially reported that the device had been handed over to Congress. A Johnson spokesperson told the outlet that Fauci had used the phone while director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease. He retired from government at the end of 2022, and he's currently 85 years old. Again, it's not that I want to see this man in jail. I know a lot of people do. I just want answers. Okay, just give me answers. All right, what did we do so we don't do it again? And are we still doing it? I understand us partnering with other countries. We partner in science with other countries all the time. But are we making the same mistake that Fauci did? And then what repercussions are there going to be if you lie? Especially under oath. 1-877-Doc-Dolly. Don't go away.
Hey guys, it's Clyde. We've had a lot of requests for Ground Zero merchandise, so we put together an online store with a big variety of high-quality items. I'm really excited to let you know about these things. We have a lot to offer you and your loved ones. In addition to our regular apparel, such as t-shirts, beanies, hoodies, and hats, we've expanded our product line with posters, flags, aprons, mugs, and a whole lot more. We also have Ground Zero collectibles along with a limited edition of items like a Clyde Lewis canvas portrait, a Ground Zero embroidered jacket that will certainly make for great gifts and for interesting conversations with family and friends. And we now offer publications such as Ron Patton's book about mind control, MK Zine, and back copies of the official magazine of Ground Zero while it was in print. Paranoia, the Conspiracy Reader, also coming in 2023, are updated and revised books that I've written. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. So shop today at our official store by going to groundzeromerch.com. Again, that's groundzeromerch.com.
Hey, America. How tired are you of mainstream corporate media's biased narratives and manipulated news? Their dishonesty and attempts to influence this generation have been exposed, put on display for anyone who's even half paying attention. But the New American Magazine has been an honest source of news and commentary for over 50 years. This is your opportunity to receive the stalwart of principled journalism at a deep discount. Picture a beautifully published magazine arriving at your doorstep twice a month, packed with insightful stories written with integrity. It's also available digitally on the New American's mobile app. Get up to speed with intelligent coverage from a freedom perspective. Right now, for a limited time, the New American is available to radio listeners at a 25% discount on a new subscription. Visit thenewamerican.com/radio25 and receive 25% off. Subscribe today at thenewamerican.com/radio25.
Back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877 Dr. Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. So, while we're seeing, and I apologize, I'm getting better slowly but surely with this COVID, which is, I think, a good transition and segue into the next segment about America being isolationist, where throughout our history we've gone back and forth on maybe America needs to take a step back. Maybe we just need to let these other countries do their thing. And look at what happened with FDR and World War II. We, turned boats away. We didn't really step in, and we waited until sadly we got attacked, and we got attacked miserably by Pearl Harbor. When we got involved, we finally put an end to World War II. But unfortunately, I think we waited so long that some people might look at the history differently, but I think it would have been more to our advantage to get in sooner and cut the head off the snake of Hitler and to stop the expansion of Japan and other world leaders with what they were doing and taking advantage of the situation earlier. And so this back and forth of, well, we need to be isolationists, we need to not be. Now not only are you seeing the Democratic Party fragmenting, but you're also seeing the Republican Party with Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson saying America first. This is what Trump promised. Ignore the other countries. Let's just concentrate on ourselves. Ignore what's going on foreign policy wise everywhere else. I don't think that's the smartest thing to do. Okay. In medicine, it's very, very interesting. And it's because I'm an MD. I'm an allopathic doctor, and I've worked very closely with osteopaths, et cetera. You think that we in medicine is all about the isolationist issue of the human. And it's just about, just taking care of yourself. Don't worry about others. Isolate from other people. You're going to be fine. And you learn very early on that if you are an isolationist from a health standpoint, that could actually hurt you in the long run. We need to be exposed to things. We need to build up an immunity. We need to build up a resilience. We also need to be aware of our surroundings and understand that there are threats to our existence that can happen to us from a medical standpoint if we don't look beyond our borders. And I know some of you might not like that metaphor or analogy, but who cares, right? I'm still trying to figure out what the difference between analogy and metaphor is. So when you start to hear, the anti-MAGA Republicans, or you hear the Democrats go, look, not our wars, whatever the Middle East does, let them, do whatever. Ukraine, Russia, let them just fight it out. It does involve us. Everything seems to affect us. If Israel falls, God forbid, if we stop supporting Israel and Israel falls and isn't able to be that checks and balance and keep that Middle East turns into chaos. If Middle East turns into chaos, now from fuel, from economy, look at the terror cells that we're seeing with Hamas and Hezbollah. Iran has been attacking America despite Israel being in. Iran hates America. And so I actually support Trump in trying to defang the nuclear capabilities of Iran, because they have been threatening and they have been on our, on our backside, wanting to attack us forever. For you to feel safe and to be able to sleep at night, we need to be aware of those threats. And then when you see Hassan Piker say, 9/11, we deserved. Are you kidding me? If we let down our guard, we get attacked and Americans die. So we have to be aware of what is going on out there. Look at Ukraine and Russia. We're very involved in the Ukraine-Russia war because we have been now for years. It's been over 4 years, 4.5 years. We have been, helping fund and helping resupply Ukraine. We're going to be involved no matter what. That's just the nature of the beast. You're a part of this world. Something happens in China. You could be like, all right, we're just going to ignore China. We're not going to work with China. We're not going to. And then look at what happened with COVID. All right. No matter what, these other countries will draw us in. So we need to ensure that we have our defenses up. We need to ensure that we are ready. We also have to make sure that anything that could be a potential threat is already pre-annihilated or pre-addressed, whether it's the Golden Dome, whether it's destroying somebody's nuclear capability. Iran doesn't want nuclear capability to protect Iran. Iran wants to do it for offense. We already know because they've threatened it. And so, people are trying to use because they think it's a popular thing now with such rising anti-Semitism that that the argument is don't help Israel. All right, we let Israel just deal with Hamas and Hezbollah themselves. We don't show support. Let the terrorist communities that want Israel off the face of the earth to do whatever. We take a step back. We don't support Israel, whatever, and that is going to hurt us. And for those people who are naive to think that America doesn't receive any military intelligence, doesn't receive any access to the Middle East through Israel, you're being naive. All right? I mean, America isn't supporting Israel because we have nothing better to do, because we're just nice, because we love Jews and Catholics and Christians and Mormons and Muslims, and we want to protect Israel. That's not why America's protecting Israel. America's protecting it. The reason why you've seen these senators and these congressmen vote for it, because they know that Israel gives us intelligence, gives us tech, is helping us ensure that certain factions in the Middle East are not going to be a threat. A vibrant, stable Middle East helps America. We know that. And Israel helps make that happen. So now you have newer groups, either with the extreme right in Republicans or the extreme left, going, screw Israel. We don't have to, it'll just be about America. Now, America first. No, you obviously don't understand. Now, that's not all everybody's fault. Okay, you have clearances, you have intelligence, you have, the government is not going to be on CNN telling us why it's so important we work with Israel. Okay, I mean, the reason why we were able to annihilate Iran's navy and defang them their nuclear capabilities is because of Israeli intelligence. So there's no way CENTCOM is going to say, yeah, Israel told us this, so this is what we're going to act on. You're not going to become privy. There has to be an element of trust to, there's some inner workings that we may not be privy to. Maybe we need to just take a step back, and 9/11 happened as a multiple attempt. It wasn't the first shot at us. We had the World Trade Center bombing in 93, and we have had multiple threats and multiple attempts on New York, on major cities, by disgusting terrorist factions. Do we hear about every time they get stopped? Sometimes it makes the news, but nobody talks about it. So if we're going to be naive to think, well, you know what, just ignore everybody else, we're just going to do America first. America first means to ensure there's no other threats. All right, that's part of it. You can't just live in a bubble. We are not in the isolationism might have happened years ago when you had to take a ship and sail across the Atlantic. But things are different now. So we need to be savvy. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, don't go away.
Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.